So Adam Schefter reported this afternoon that the Vikings are open to trading Pro Bowl edge rusher Jonathan Greenard. Open to trading generally means that a team may cut somebody.
They're about to cut him.
It doesn't always happen that way. Like, he may stay in Minnesota, but when you float this idea, they're open to trading, it normally tells you that they've informed the player that they can make some calls with their agent and look around. Think about it. When you find out that your team is trying to trade you, are you happy to go back there? So that's normally the first sign that a guy hits the market. So that's how this will probably end, is he gets released if there's not a trade. But when he gets released, he then becomes a free agent to sign anywhere. So it might be, if Washington's super interested, hard to get a deal done with him. He might also get a lot more money than he's currently scheduled to make at $22 million, because maybe teams look at him as a 28-year-old three-down player and say he's really good, which I think he is. So let's just start with your interest in Jonathan Greenard.
It's high.
From Minnesota.
Yeah.
Durante Jones, your DC, came from there. That fit is obvious. I love this player. He had a down year this year. He missed 5 games, only had 3 sacks. But the 2 years before that, he had 24.5 sacks, 12 per season, with Houston for a year, and then in his first year in Minnesota when he was a Pro Bowler, and he was in the All-Pro Defensive Player of the Year voting, finished 11th. But what I really, really like about him, Danny, in addition to being an excellent pass rusher, he's terrific against the run. This is the rare edge who's very, very good getting to the quarterback, but is far from a liability and, in fact, strong against the run as well. That's why I call him a 3-down guy. So I would actually consider trading for him. I don't want to trade draft picks. They're not in a spot where that's what they should be doing. But this is not Max Crosby where you're giving up a 1 or you're giving up, multiple first couple of round picks or something. You could maybe trade this year's third-round pick 71 and then a future pick next year. Maybe it's a 4 or 5. Maybe it's 2 3s. I don't know. But regardless, if you're not giving up a first or second rounder, and you could get this guy for a couple of day 2 or a day 2 and a day 3 pick over 2 years, are we sure they shouldn't be doing that?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing I like the best. When somebody does it, this is sort of a la Hendrickson, in 2 different stops, I know it's not just a scheme creation. You know what I mean? And that's important to me, where if I'm going to pay for the premium on somebody like this is a bona fide pass rusher. I know last year was down. I'm aware. And Minnesota's in cap hell. But his last stop in Houston, 12.5 sacks. You go, okay, maybe scheme, exploited something, got lucky, contract year, etc. First year in Minnesota, almost a mirror image in a lot of ways, a better season, more tackles for loss, more tackles overall, as you said, better against the run, same number of quarterback hits, kind of tells you in general that this is who he is, right? Again, last year's the anomaly where he was certainly down. So I'm interested. I don't know what the trade value will be. I don't know if it's one of those, yeah, we could trade for him, but we could also wait 5 minutes for you guys to cut him, or we could throw you a token, pick swap with a 6th round or 7th round or something towards the end. But I'm interested in this player, big time.
74th percentile edge rusher, according to PFF last season. They ranked him 31 out of 115 at the position overall, and they had him 12th against the run out of 115 edges that qualified. As a double-digit sack guy multiple times in a row going into last season. You're right on the fact that I don't think there were questions coming out of Houston, but I think people wanted to see it when he left that really good personnel. And then he went to Minnesota, and the way he was used there, it worked. But I don't think we should sleep on the fact that you don't have to worry about fit here when you're getting a guy from your system, like Durante Jones will be doing with Greenard. He just played in this system. There is no learning curve. There's nothing to figure out. There's nothing to worry about. You set it and forget it. You plug it in, and you walk away. And you come back, and the microwave made your thing. I know how this is going to be responded to if we open up the phones, and we could do this a little bit later on at 800-636-1067 on the show in the back half. I tweet something about this. I promise you this is going to be the response. You can't give up more draft picks. They don't have enough draft picks. And that's mostly true. But forget about that stance for a second and just follow me. If they give up 71 this year, in a world where they're not drafting an edge at 7, they might be drafting one at 71. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically already in a boat where, that position could be going to what you're going to get out of Greenard. And if that's true and it's one more pick, it's another, let's say, a 4th next year maybe. And you could get, or if they're really going to cut him, maybe a 3 and a 5 would do it. If the 71st overall pick which is a round 3 selection, who right now I'll just say is somebody like a wide receiver, like Elijah Surratt from Indiana, or an edge or something like that. And then it's a 4th rounder or later next year. You wouldn't rather have Greenard at $22 million for each of the next 2 seasons and really fix the edge position? Him on one side, Armstrong on the other. If Armstrong plays like he did in the first half of last year, you've now gone from a really bad edge spot to a terrific duo of 2 guys who can both get 10 or more sacks.
And again, you see where you and I are shopping here, right? I mean, this is I want to solve one of these holes, not with a Band-Aid again, not with some bubble gum and duct tape, with a blue chip solution. Now, Hendrickson's going to cost a lot. This costs a decent amount too. Whether, if he gets cut, then he's in free agency, or you have to give up a draft pick or 2 or whatever.
What would he cost if he were to hit the open market? Because we know what his contract is that you'd be inheriting in a trade. He signed a 4-year, $76 million deal, about a $19 million AAV that was a little bit backloaded. So you're talking about cap numbers over $20 million the next couple of seasons, but not by much, like $22 million-ish against the cap, which for, again, a really good edge rusher is not that bad. And then you're out of the thing after 2027.
Coming off a down year in his age 29 season, I always have such a hard time placing this because it's all eye of the beholder. He probably doesn't get Hendrickson money, you wouldn't think, right? Without the track record, especially because of what happened last year. But he's probably north of some of the other guys on there, Adafa Owe, or probably north of Joey Bosa, or a couple of the other guys that are going to be on the free agent market, right? I mean, he'd be north of 20. You'd think, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't know how he wouldn't.
Because everyone values that so much, rightfully so.
Because you don't have to take him off the field. How would he not be? That's where I'm at, by the way. Is also, forget the money. If you could save a couple million, that's great. You have to also then bank on that you can get him and he would want to play for you over everybody else.
I'm hoping the Durante Jones connection there would be very valuable.
Bingo.
In that regard.
If he were a free agent, maybe that's what gets him here, is he really likes the coach. That's how they got Bobby Wagner.
Yeah.
I could go through a list of 10 guys like that said they signed here because of Dan Quinn or Wagner or Bobby Johnson or whoever it was. But I just hate this you can't trade picks, period, philosophy that people seem to have.
I mean, they put themselves in a bind because they traded a bunch of them.
Trading picks for the most part. That should be the philosophy, but it is not a rule. And there's a big difference between trading pick number 7 for Max Crosby in a package and a 3rd-round pick this year at 71 and something else next year if that's what it took for Jonathan Greenard. Now, I don't know what the package would be. If the Vikings said we're only taking a 2nd-rounder or better this year, then now I'm not interested. I don't have a second to give them anyway. But think about it. If they traded for Greenard and it didn't take anything early in the draft the next 2 years, and now you've got him and Dorrance Armstrong as your pass rushers, and then you drafted Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs, do you know how much better their defense just got with those 2 additions? I just got you from 31 on paper to like 23 or 24 on paper maybe. Just like that. Now I sign a corner for some money, or what I would do is just keep sinking money into the defensive line, actually. And next thing you know, you got some real talent here to work with if you're Durante Jones.
And again, if you complete some of these shopping items with quality blue chippers, right, it takes pressure off of the draft. Where now we're sitting there on pins and needles, the draft has to fall a certain way or else, dun, 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 kind of thing. That goes away, I think. If you hit on a couple of these guys that are commodities that everybody wants. Again, don't wait till the second wave of free agency, post-first round, post-draft, post everything else going, all right, I guess we'll just do this now because they're available. I just don't want to major in that. You're going to do that anyway because you got to fill 30 spots.